In Module 1, we learned about the origins of ACT. We explored how the Western empirical approach to psychology had culminated in modalities such as cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT). CBT embraces a fundamentally materialist philosophy in which the mind, our thoughts and feelings, and our body, our behaviors and actions are the central focus of attention. CBT gives us practical tools which can help us to build a solid foundation, daily routines that extend our energy reserve and help us avoid an unproductive boom-bust cycle. When life feels less chaotic, we have more time to spend on the things that matter. That is where some of the ideas from Eastern spirituality are blended into the ACT model. For many people confronted with the ontological shock of the realization of the presence of NHI, it can feel like the rug has been pulled from under you. We are forced to ask deep questions. For some people, those questions relate to a sense of purpose or meaning in their life. Through embracing elements of Eastern philosophy and mindfulness practice into our response to ontological shock, we begin to address the third element to our mind and body model, the soul or spirit, that which is beyond the physical or material world. ACT implores us to see ourselves as something separate from our thoughts. We have a brain in our body. Our brain produces our thoughts, but what part of us is observing those thoughts? For some of us, this third element of the triad can feel daunting or confusing to engage with for the first time. It isn't something we're taught in school. It doesn't fit easily into Western scientific principles. It isn't simple to define, and yet, it forms a key component, alongside CBT, that has resulted in empirically evidence-positive outcomes for those engaging in the ACT model. Studying this program is a bit like reading a book on physical education. Learning the theory of physical education doesn't make us stronger. It just provides us a foundational understanding about why exercise is beneficial for us. In order to get stronger, we have to exercise, not just read about it. When we go to the gym for the first time and try to lift weights, we don't leave the gym on the same day with increased strength. Only after regularly attending the gym and repeating a set of exercises do we gradually come to realize that the original weights we lifted during the first gym session have become easier to lift. Mindfulness meditation is like exercise for the brain, with the goal being to quieten the mind. There are lots of ways of doing this, from repeating a mantra, imagining a visual image, or simply focusing on our breath. Throughout this program, we will be emphasizing the turning of attention to our breath as the means for grounding ourselves in the moment. Inevitably, some part of us will generate thoughts about the things on our to-do list, planning for the future, or perhaps reflections on the day will arise, frustrations, social interactions, etc. ACT tells us that the generation of these thoughts is largely out of our control. What we do have control of is how we interact with such thoughts. By naming our thoughts, we create some distance from them. The clearer the gap is between our thoughts and our observing self, the less control that those thoughts have over our lives. They are just thoughts. They hold no power over us. In naming those thoughts, we can also question their utility. How helpful is this thought right now? In focusing on our breath, we'll begin to observe our thoughts arising and eventually slipping away as we continue to return our attention to our breath. Through naming our thoughts, using the phrase, "I am having the thought that," we will begin to diffuse the struggle that often arises with those thoughts. In questioning the utility of a thought, we will begin to ensure that more of our time is spent working towards our personal values.